There's really no telling how stupid things are going to get.
Yeah, it's something that's really hard, damn near impossible to predict.
Yeah. And one of the main focuses of this incoming Trump administration, which we will talk about plenty on this episode, is cutting government waste.
Yes.
And of course, the primary method, well, I don't even know if I can say primary at this point. One method of them trying to do this will be through what's called the Department of Government Efficiency.
What's that stand for?
Acronym DOGE.
Oh, or what's, yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
acronym DOGE. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, obviously. We'll get into the details a little bit later. But the focus for them is cutting government waste. And you may be wondering, where's this waste coming from?
Yeah, I do wonder.
You know, I'm going to give you facts and figures later on in the episode, but when we start off, we want to get into it easy. You don't want to hear numbers.
No, I love conjecture, personally.
You don't want to see pie charts. You don't want to have to do your own research. No. So instead, I think we should just listen to this clip from Fox News and see where government is wasting our taxpayer money.
What are America's top pundits saying about this?
Look, the government spends like $7 trillion every year, right? That's like the annual government budget. And there's got to be some places we can cut. And I bet Fox News has found where we need to cut.
Yeah.
So let's take a listen here.
So what have we been spending some of our federal funds on? Let's review. Almost $550,000 went to a Russian lab to run experiments on cats' brains. That was spent by the National Institutes of
That's
Health.
not even like
$3.7 million of funding went to a study on monkeys and gambling. Another NIH fascinating project. And the State Department awarding tens of thousands of dollars for drag shows in Ecuador.
$20,000.
$20,000 is literally nothing.
Iceberg. Here's Senator James Langford rattling off just
compared
a
to
few.
$7 trillion, $20,000 is nothing.
Yeah.
The fucking monkeys and cats, that's probably just what? Grants?
Yeah.
To science research? I thought she was going to say we spent $550,000 on like White House cats or something, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, that's wasteful.
It's research.
It's just research on cat brains. You just made it sound like research.
Yeah. Or she said we spent thousands of dollars on drag shows. It was $20,000. I don't even know what the purpose of that project was, but that's like, it's not even a percent. It's not even a percent of a percent of the total government budget.
I bet they will never talk about how much we spent on government Christmas parties.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, we're gonna cut $20,000 in government waste. That's like the taxes of a few citizens.
Literally, that's
like,
the taxes
what
of like one middle income earner.
Yeah. Like genuinely, what the fuck are we talking about?
I want those to be my taxes one day.
Yeah.
I want to fund the drag queens in Ecuador.
They talk about government waste, but it's not anything like, you know, the DOD spending $5,000 on a chair because they have a surplus and want to justify it for the next year. It's it's culture war issues, LGBTQ stuff, or scientific research that they frame as ridiculous.
Which it's like they didn't even do a great job at that.
No.
They didn't even do a great job at that. They could talk about the Pentagon never passing a single fucking audit in its entire life.
Never
They could talk about like $2,000 per nut and bolt for like any DOD contract given out. You could literally talk about how much money we spend on like White House holiday parties or like federal holiday parties and shit like that. But no, they said research and gay.
All the money we pour into like military projects that never work.
Yeah.
And like jets that just make people throw up when they hear them.
F-35? You turn on the F-35 and everyone on the aircraft carrier starts hurling?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
It's so nonsense. They talk about government waste. It's just ridiculous.
Wow. I can't wait to see what this new department proposes that we cut.
There's really no telling how stupid shit's going to get. It's crazy. Welcome back to Head in the Office, everybody. Today's episode is all about the incoming Trump administration 2.0. We're going to be running through all the picks.
We got to look at his advisors. We got to look at the people who are experts in their fields and wholly qualified to advise the president, the leader of the free world, on various issues.
It's true. We've been getting a hailstorm of announcements
of
who he's going to nominate for various positions. And let me just say, I'm impressed, and I think that we're going to maintain the sanctity of our institutions.
I do too.
Yeah,
I do too. Not a single thing is going to be disrespected.
No, everything is going to go well. We're going to cut down on waste, and nobody else is going to have a brainworm.
You know, especially the Department of the Interior. Dealing with Native Americans, we got a top guy on that one.
Doug Burgum. Hell yeah. We'll get into all of that a little bit later on, but first, as always, we'll remind you that if you want to support the show, if you want to support what we do here, help us get to our goal, head over to patreon.com/headintheofficepod. Every one of you that is over there, we appreciate you. We love you. You are the reason that the show can continue and we can do all kinds of fun stuff and maybe future fun stuff that we got in the works right now. Also, if you're already on Patreon or if you're considering joining, next postcard is coming in December. We're cooking that up actively. And if you want a postcard arriving at your doorstep, got to become a patron. Got to make sure you fill out the form. That's coming soon. So make sure you do that.
It is. I'm geeked for it personally.
Yeah, me too. It's gonna be a good time. Of course, you also get early access to all of our content if you're a patron over there. But go ahead and check it out. It's in the description. You can also get some new Hiddo merch. Of course, we dropped that on Election Day.
Love Hiddo merch.
But that was the more important thing to happen on Election Day. So headintheoffice.com. Link is in the description. You can still get a sweatshirt, still get a hoodie. It's good for Christmas gifts.
Good for Christmas
if you celebrate.
Gifts. Good for keeping you warm in this cold, harsh winter.
That's right. Of course, all of our social media links are in the description as well. If you want to see what we're ranting about throughout the week, Twitter or even Blue Sky is the place to go.
You gotta hop on the Twitter and Blue Sky. Yeah, I can't lie. You gotta hop on the Twitter and Blue Sky. We kind of popping off since the election happened. You know what I mean?
Say?
What can I say? Frankly,
we got funny things to say, and of course, one of the main ways, the longest enduring ways you can support the show is by leaving a 5-star review on Apple. I think we got 3 today.
4. I think it's 4. Yeah.
Starting with JD Thorne, not JD Vance.
Oh, importantly,
subject line needed now more than ever. JD Thorne says, firstly, it must be said I condemn Hamas, Hezbollah, and all political violence. I am truly a longtime listener, first-time reviewer since episode 9, Bounty Hunters and the COVID Economy.
That's a Hiddo OG right there.
Your cries for my review have fallen on deaf ears. However, on the precipice of a new era of annoying and politically illiterate takes from both sides, I have no qualms recommending anyone this podcast. Jeremy and Gage managed to always strike a balance between common sense political analysis and a humorous spirit. As a former Michigander, currently in Southeast Georgia, working on construction jobs with many well-meaning but uninformed working class folk, it's refreshing to hear sane voices commentate on issues and dig deep into policy without becoming doomers. You have all given me a starting point to challenge their assumptions in conversation and hopefully help them with more accurately assess the causes of systemic issues. As such, I have finally not only given an emphatic review of the show, but I have also shed my Wednesday weenie status and became a Sunday superstar. The Sunday superstar I was always destined to be. Thank you, boys, for your nearly 4 years of hard work.
That's crazy.
4 more years. 4 more years.
4 more years. 4 more years. That's crazy.
It's really
That's
3.5. I think 4 is in July of 25, but whatever.
Yeah. But we're getting there.
Yeah, we're getting there.
I mean? We're getting there.
Hiddo's getting into toddler phase, I guess.
Yeah, we can speak.
We're out of our terrible 2s. We're in our 3s right now. And we're getting into the toddler phase. Yeah, we could speak. We can be annoying. We can cry.
We can walk around. We can cry. We can whine.
Potty trained.
We can throw tantrums, and honestly, it's socially acceptable
at this point.
And that's kind of why I started doing this podcast thing, so I can throw tantrums and it be socially acceptable. You know what I'm saying? But this next review from Ryan Millsap. No dooming on Hiddo's watch.
That's right.
I want to start off by saying that I condemn Hamas and all political violence. I first found these boys, like many others, on TikTok and was immediately hooked on their brand of delivering the news with a side of humor and consistent analysis. I've been a Wednesday weenie for about a year now and have recently made the jump to the Sunday sermon after their Election Day live event so I can, quote, get the news when it happens. And frankly, that's what it's all about,
We've been
honestly.
saying this.
We greatly appreciate your tithe. As a leftist living in Nebraska, where it seems like any progress is stopped before it can begin, see medical cannabis and abortion, these boys are always there to lift my spirits week to week. I also want to thank you for being a light in the darkness that is online political discourse where everyone else seems to be only dooming on the timeline. Keep up the good work. And we shall.
We will.
We
Get
shall.
the news when it happens. That's the mantra for our patrons. Next one by Vegas Connor. Love the show. They say, since every episode requires a condemnation, I will start with I condemn Hamas.
It does.
But I would also like to condemn the Midwestern voters who voted for Trump. And then the days following the election to see the top searches being, how do I change my vote and who pays tariffs? I take solace in knowing that these guys say it how it is, and I look forward to a new episode every week. P.S. I loved the Gage episode where he was alone because my boy was practically carrying the show and low-key sounded like ASMR.
Had to. The girlfriend was sleeping in the other room.
Hoping to upgrade to a Sunday winner soon. Keep up the good work, boys. Yeah, the Gage episode was pretty goated. I was down and out that week.
Down and out. Yeah, that was a bad week for Hiddo. Yeah, we missed the fucking debate because of it too. Yeah. Oh my god.
But it is good that I broke the arm before RFK becomes
that's true.
the Secretary of HHS.
What? It's good that I had COVID before RFK became the Secretary of HHS as well.
Get your vaccines.
I got my shot last week. Glad I got that before it gets taken off the market and everybody who wants to get it a shot in the head.
I got my yeah, exactly. I got my flu shot a couple weeks ago. I'm gonna get my COVID shot very soon. But Before January,
Yeah,
folks.
you got to get that before January, 21st? Something like that.
Whenever
or else
RFK gets confirmed,
You're done for. It's ridiculous. This last review today, we got Hito by, oh goodness, Mel W. Bruh. I found y'all on TikTok just like most people probably did, and it's been a nice, refreshing experience from the internet left. Everyone else consistently has wild takes while you guys stay pretty solid no matter what. Hopefully your house doesn't get raided by Trump's people, and we have this podcast for the rest of time. Hope all is well, fellas. P.S. Of course, I need to say I condemn Hamas and absolutely all political violence. Thank you for the stark condemnations, folks.
Speaking of TikTok, it's looking more and more likely that Trump might actually save TikTok. Not for any principled reason, not for any free speech reason or anything like that. Probably because I think like the American one of the Americans that has like a lot of money in TikTok is like a lobbyist on Trump's side. So that's going to be the reason if he does end up saving it.
That's so goated because he started this.
Yeah,
Trump
him.
is the ban TikTok was the Trump policy. Biden loved to execute on Trump policies. He loved doing that.
Trump does the theory, Biden does the practice.
100%, absolutely right there. It's genuinely insane. That was not something that Biden needed to adopt. That was not something that needed like wide bipartisan support. It was the Trump thing. Oh my goodness! And now Trump gets to come in and get the clout.
And you know what?
He's got it.
I'll give him his flowers because that matters for us. Like that's the
exactly.
That's
the
silver
linings.
That's the people.
I'm saying that's how we communicate. You know, maybe they are free speech warriors.
Yeah, and so if Trump saves TikTok, I'll give him his flowers for that one. But it's also becoming a little bit of a worry creeping in the back of my mind that maybe they won't be as pro-free speech as they once said.
Yeah, maybe they won't be as nice to us.
Yeah.
We were already kind of getting... TikTok's already not very nice to us when we cover certain topics, specifically Gaza. They do not fucking like it when we specifically talk about Gaza. That shit gets shadow banned and we get punished for like the next 2 videos.
It's crazy.
Kind of wondering what that's going to be like under Trump, you know?
Yeah. We'll see. But of course, that's sort of what we're talking about this week. But right before we get into the news, I'll remind you all that we have a new goal on Patreon. I meant to say this before.
It's pretty cool.
We're going to be doing a community contest where the winner, whoever you all are going to be able to submit artwork, and the winner will have their design or their image or whatever you submit put up in the studio. I beg you to not put too much effort or thought into it because, of course, it's just a sort of volunteer community thing that we're doing, a little event contest. But once we get to our Patreon goal, we'll be doing that. And whoever wins by popular vote of the community will be immortalized here in the studio.
Big fans of popular vote around here.
That's right.
Big fans of popular vote.
Love the popular vote. Anyways, let's get into the news here. We got to talk about Trump 2.0 and his incoming lineup for his administration because the past week we've been completely inundated with announcements from President-elect Trump as to who he's going to be appointing to these various federal agencies. And we got some prominent ones to run through here, starting with maybe a more normal one, but certainly a departure from the sort of isolationist rhetoric we've been getting.
Which is interesting. Yeah. I feel like just straight up, the only theme that connects all of these people is that they do not come out against Trump.
Yes.
That's just literally the only thing that connects them. Because within like different departments that you would think, have to do with each other a lot, say, I don't know, the Department of Defense and the Secretary of State, like those two secretaries, they kind of have to work together, kind of have to be a little bit aligned, at least ideologically. Not really.
Not at all.
Not really. There are wildly inconsistent beliefs going on here, wildly inconsistent beliefs within the people as well. Like it's interesting.
Yeah, the first one we're talking about here is Florida Senator Marco Rubio for Secretary of State, a known neoconservative, very hawkish on war and our foreign adversaries. For those that don't know, Secretary of State is that like the head diplomat position.
Yep.
It's Tony Blinken right now, somebody that we vehemently dislike.
We hate
this guy. We disdain Antony Blinken. But Marco Rubio will not be much better or better at all, really. If you're a conservative and you thought that we were getting no more spending overseas, that's not going to be happening with this guy.
If you're conservative and you thought that Trump was a dove,
well, like that was already wrong. Like just empirically, if we look at the drone war and how he treated people that we view as illiberal or anti-democratic, like in Saudi Arabia, China, Russia, and so on. But Rubio specifically, he's a very strong supporter of Israel. He even said that he supported Israel's right to disproportionately respond to stop this threat in reference to Iran, which is awesome. Very isolationist, very non-interventionist, I suppose.
I love it when we encourage escalation between two nuclear powers.
Yeah. Very cool. He also wants to increase sanctions on Cuba, Venezuela, and Nicaragua.
Why?
Poor Cuba's never going to get out of that embargo.
I don't understand why.
Yeah.
The Cuba embargo has always been stupid. Like, especially like post-Cold War, when there's not even any active like tension going on there.
Yeah.
Why? Literally, what's the point other than just signaling to your supporters? Because Marco Rubio's from Florida, right?
Yeah.
I guess he just wants to signal to the Cubans that came over here because they lost their slaves in the revolution that look, they're being punished. Like, I don't understand. What's the point? Why is that like effective? What does that do for us?
I don't know much about Nicaraguan politics anymore. I know there was like a sort of radical history in the past, and then Ronald Reagan intervened, and then the whole Iran-Contra affair happened, and all that stuff that we won't get into.
It's like bro's living in the past.
Yeah, it's neoconservatism. It's what it is.
This is shit that was relevant in the 80s, I guess. Like, I guess it would have been politically popular in the 80s, but who is staking their political legacy on? Man, those Cubans. Those Cubans, they really need more embargo.
Rubio also worked with a Democratic senator to pass legislation barring any president from pulling NATO funding. Some more neo-conservatism for you, sort of global hegemony support, I suppose.
Which is interesting because it's like, Trump don't like that.
Yeah.
Trump doesn't like that. A lot of the people that orbit around Trump do not like that. They don't like the idea of taking any power away from the executive. Bill Barr, that's the guy I'm thinking of, right? He was like, was that Trump's AG?
He was DOD. No. Yeah, I think Bill Barr was AG.
Yeah, he went through a lot of different people in every different position, but I think it was Bill Barr was a huge proponent of like the unitary executive, and there were a lot of people around Trump in like that last year after he had replaced everybody else like 5 fucking times that were very much like pro this idea of giving the president more power so that they can explicitly be this like strong man.
Yeah.
So that's where I get into this thing where it's like even Trump's like own picks for this are very ideologically inconsistent.
Yeah.
And he just fucks with people that'll say nice things about him.
I don't think, and that I was sort of going to bring that up later, but I do not think there is any through line for all of these picks. There's no ideological consistency. It's literally just Trump won. He has appointments to make, and he's going to choose people that he likes.
Yeah, I had seen reports that like he was just sitting in Mar-a-Lago and just thinking about like when trying to figure out who he's going to pick for cabinet, just watching like news highlight reels from people, watching like
that's so real,
watching like a Braun clip to see to see their best moments, like.
Yeah, no, I think for Trump specifically, there is no like political program. There's no theory of government. There's no vision for the future of the country. For him, it's just he's rewarding people he thinks have been good to him and loyal to him.
Yeah.
But people like J.D. Vance, maybe even Marco Rubio, the Heritage Foundation folks, they do have a political program that they want to push, and they're going to use his presidency to do it. Trump is just sort of the sort of front man for all of this.
Yeah.
Not even like conspiratorial in that sense. It's more just like Trump's the president. We know he's a narcissist, and there are people below him that are riding his coattails that have a lot of shit they want to do.
And it's also explicitly what they said.
Yeah.
Like in their plan. They're like,
Trump,
Trump in here is just a vehicle to get us in here.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's interesting. And Don Jr. also explicitly said on, I think, CNN, yeah, Trump values explicitly who is loyal to him and who doesn't think they know better than him. Trump wants people to advise him on things he doesn't know about, to not think they know better than him. That's an interesting, like, go ahead and square that circle.
Yeah, but they're supposed to be like subject matter experts.
But this administration does not fuck with subject matter experts.
Fair enough. Marco Rubio's also been kind of wishy-washy on Ukraine, sometimes voting in support of aid, sometimes voting against aid. Ultimately, rhetorically, he's pretty pro-Ukraine. I don't think he's ever been pro-Russia. But, you know, he's a neoconservative. We do have an empire to preserve, after all.
Real as hell.
And if we're not going to preserve that empire, then U.S. won't be number one anymore. So there's your isolationism, conservatives.
Yeah. I also wonder how long Marco Rubio will make it in this position until he says something that's like vaguely pro-Ukraine that Trump doesn't like. Didn't he go through 5 Secretary of States?
I don't remember, but that sounds about right.
Like he fucking ran through different cabinet positions. Yeah. It was crazy.
Yeah, no, Trump liked firing people. That was one of the main campaign points. He said Joe Biden's never fired anybody.
And he should have fired Blinken. He was right about that.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Trump also recently announced, and this is one of the more wacky picks, that Matt Gaetz is his pick for Attorney General.
Diabolical.
Important note that the House Ethics Committee was mere days away from releasing a report on allegations that Gaetz committed sex trafficking and slept with a 17-year-old, or slept isn't really the right word, raped a 17-year-old because that's what that is. But now the House won't be officially releasing that ethics report because Gates resigned from the House as soon as Trump announced he would be the pick for AG. And apparently the House doesn't have jurisdiction after the member of the House that's being investigated leaves their position.
Which does not make any sense.
No.
We are gearing up to release. The only reason they didn't release the report is because the House has a rule against releasing reports like that during election season. So they're gearing up to release this report. They have all this information, all this testimony, all this damning evidence gathered about how this guy fucked a minor, sex trafficked a minor.
Yeah.
Wicked headline right there already. And they're like, oh, he resigned, so we can't release it, even though this is, I don't know, for the public good.
And he's being considered for, like, the top cop position.
Yeah, he's considered for a promotion.
Yeah.
And you can't release that information? Matt Gaetz hasn't even been allowed to practice law in Florida for, like, 3 of the last 5 years for, like, he hasn't kept up with dues or regulatory issues or something like that. Yeah. But he can be the top guy to do law?
Doesn't make any sense.
Federally?
Yeah.
This is a broken system.
Yeah, and I think some Senate Republicans have been saying that they want to see the ethics report before they make a vote on approving Gaetz for Attorney General. As we'll talk about a little bit later, it's not clear if Trump's actually going to go the way of having the Senate approve his nominations. We'll get there in a little bit, though. But assuming that Gaetz is going to have to go up for a vote, it seems like Republican senators want to see this report, and a lot of Republicans generally just don't like Matt Gaetz because he's a repulsive guy all around to so many people in Washington. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm really hoping that some brave soul on Capitol Hill leaks the document.
You can't.
The public deserves access to this.
More of these people need to talk to journalists. I don't get how we don't have leaks coming out the wazoo all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you're telling me you're privy to all this information. What do they have on you?
Yeah, I think the one thing that did leak was that the girl who is like the victim here had testified that she was raped by Matt Gaetz when she was 17.
Yeah.
So that is sort of a damning piece of evidence to already leak. They had the person themselves testify. We'll see where this goes. If anybody's going to get rejected by the Republican Senate, it's probably Matt Gaetz.
Gotta be.
Because they do not like him. But I wouldn't be surprised if Trump sort of pressures people in such a way where he's able to get everybody he wants.
And it's crazy because it's like, a lot of the neocons don't like him for the whole like kerfuffle with the speakership.
Yeah, Matt Gaetz is the one that took the speakership
Kevin
away
McCarthy.
From Kevin McCarthy.
He took Kevin McCarthy down, and that's why a lot of neocons don't like him. So it's like that's the thing that pushed him over the edge. You know what I mean? It wasn't this, because this came out before
Procedural obstruction is what pushed them over the edge. Yeah.
And there's a ABC article that came out yesterday. That's a headline: exclusive, woman told House ethics panel she witnessed Gaetz having sex with a minor. Says the lawyer who like oversaw some of that testimony or represented these women. Wicked, damning evidence coming out here, and like he like kind of gets to get away with it.
Yeah.
What the fuck, man?
I've known this dude was guilty since he went on Tucker Carlson's show and tried to indict Tucker Carlson along with him.
He said, Tucker, you were there with me that
night. Yeah, that was crazy.
You and your wife were there.
During the height of Me Too. Like, it's so fucking brazen. I mean, it's a crime already. Obviously, it's disgusting. Yeah. He should be rotting in a fucking gulag somewhere. But, oh my God, he might be the top cop.
I mean, I guess it's fitting for the guy who was also convicted of being a sex pest to win the presidency and then promote someone who is also, you know, allegedly with very strong evidence to support that he is a sex pest to the AG.
Birds of a feather, I suppose. But look, I mean, alleged pedophile to country's top lawyer. Never say the American dream is dead.
That's right. That's what this country built on. It seems like.
Very, very bleak. We interrupt this episode of Head in the Office to remind you to stay warm.
Yeah, remind you that it's getting cold outside and I'm a little chilly.
I wish I had a new hoodie I could wear.
A new comfortable hoodie in a green like money colorway or even a gray colorway.
And, you know, maybe my head is cold. Maybe I need something to make my head warm.
Exactly, like a beanie.
And on top of all of that, maybe I want to support my favorite podcast, the #1 geopolitical podcast, #1 domestic politics podcast,
#1 election podcast.
Maybe I want to support them and get all the stuff that we've talked about. And you can do that if you head over to headintheoffice.com and get in on our merch.
It's pretty good. And, you know, if you want it to last, it's all embroidered. Featuring new embroidered design, wonderful colors, and, you know.
Yeah, it's perfect for the winter. It's perfect for you. And it's perfect for a gift as we head into the holidays. So head over to headintheoffice.com, support the show. Now, we all knew what was going to happen. We all knew this was going to happen. But
this one's been just foretold for a while now.
President-elect Trump has selected RFK Jr. to be his Secretary of Health and Human Services, which is the sort of banger pick we've been waiting for. We knew this was coming.
Yep.
RFK basically said, like, I've been promised the job before the election, but
which shouldn't be allowed.
Oh yeah, I thought was illegal.
Yeah.
Of course, RFK has previously lied about vaccines and autism. He lied about the origin of AIDS. He suggested that COVID was sort of biologically engineered to avoid Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese people.
And also to target whites and blacks.
Yes.
I think he said it like that.
Yeah. And he said most recently that he plans to take fluoride out of the drinking water. So he's got all kinds of different conspiracies, and that's not to say that the FDA or the CDC is necessarily perfect. Of course, they're not. And sometimes RFK hits on real issues when he talks about like the overprocessing of food and stuff like that, right? Sometimes his conspiracies have a kernel of truth to them.
Yeah.
And I think we can easily recognize that. But I think the problem is that all of the issues that he points to are not products of some like broad conspiracy or some broad plot against the American people. It's just regulatory capture.
Yeah.
And the role of wealth in our politics, right? Our entire healthcare industry, our entire health industry generally, is run for profit, which is why everybody feels so deeply that they're getting scammed by it all the time, whether we're talking medicine, whether we're talking food, or anything else to do with human health. But rather than RFK addressing the sort of structural issues related to profit-seeking tendencies, the fact that it's a privatized industry and that it lobbies the government actively to deregulate itself, RFK wants to prop up companies and wealthy interests that can thrive at the expense of public health. Because his critique isn't that we need to sort of free our politics of the influence of this wealth within this industry. It's that we need a different kind of influence on this industry and on our regulatory bodies that satisfies the worm in my brain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like, and we've been saying this for a long time, the alternative like wellness companies or industries that he wants to promote would just lobby the government in the same way to skirt regulation.
And it's like a lot of people, like Big Pharma's approval rate, Big Pharma, it's not very popular.
Yeah.
And rightfully so.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if their approval rating is less than SCOTUS. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty bad. That's pretty damning. But the alternative that people push is just an industry in a different form.
Yeah.
It's just Big Pharma, but like hippie. Literally. It's big wellness. Like,
and less proven to work scientifically.
Everybody all of these fucking doctors, like I think it's like Dr. Grundy, who goes out there and they're like, yeah, actually there's more sugar in a grape than there is in a chocolate bar. That's why you should buy my supplements. They're just trying to sell you something else.
Exactly.
They're doing the same exact thing that like Big Pharma does, except with less regulation surrounding it.
Yeah.
Like, make it make sense, people.
Yeah.
Everybody is trying to sell you something. You should at least like listen to the people who, I don't know, have the backing of people who have dedicated their lives to study these things and make sure that they have a certain amount of efficacy.
Yeah, well, and this is sort of like the entire conservative populist philosophy. It's not that there are structural issues with the way that our system works. It's that we just have the wrong people in place in those systems, right? It's not that aristocracy itself is bad. It's that we have bad aristocrats. And I should be the one in power, and I should be the one telling you what you have in your water and what you're able to eat and what medicines you can take and what vaccines you have access to. None of it is actually focused on removing the profit. None of it is focused on removing the sort of incentives within the system to lie and to scam people and to get as much money of them, as much money out of them as possible. It's all based on just these random conspiracy theories that don't actually point to the root of the problem.
Yeah, and it's like people always talk about like, oh, look at how much fucking money Big Pharma makes. Look at all this money they're stealing from you, Big Pharma, whatever. They say, these conservatives get out there and say it's because, oh, Big Pharma is in cahoots with Big Doctor and they're all pushing these medications on you that you don't need. No. Well, sometimes you get medications that you don't need. Is it necessarily malicious? No. But where they're making the money is the markup on these drugs. It's not the fact that you are being prescribed, I don't know, fucking Augmentin. It's that there's a big-ass markup that either you or your insurance company are paying because of these middlemen.
Yeah, and it's because it's a privatized industry, right? It's a privatized industry that in some ways is heavily regulated by the government, but oftentimes those regulations are changed because of wealthy interests in such a way that is beneficial to the people that are being regulated.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't operate in the pursuit of protecting human health. It operates to make as much money as humanly possible. And when you're talking about an industry that everybody relies on, I mean, you need medicine to survive nowadays. Of course, people are going to pay whatever they need to pay to live because they need to live, right? Well, what's the point? So
inelastic demand and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just it's crazy that this guy's going to be running the department that oversees human health.
And when I think about it, because I was just thinking during that time, I was like, oh yeah, nationalize Eli Lilly, nationalize Pfizer and whatnot. I feel like the fact that RFK was just appointed to this position is the greatest argument against nationalizing healthcare.
Yeah, maybe that would be worse. But the thing is, like, if we would have had a national healthcare system in place already, then I don't think RFK's conspiracies really hit home that hard. Because they wouldn't
take shape in a different form.
Maybe, but there wouldn't be the sort of structural incentive to scam people in the same way because there would be no profit to be made.
Yeah,
it would just be funded by tax
dollars. You don't get to talk about, big pharma making big money. You just have to talk about bureaucrats.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, bureaucrats are making appointments take too long.
Yeah, exactly.
Bureaucrats are why your doctor made you wait an extra 30 minutes.
Yeah, and look, we live in a world that has now benefited from all of the advancements of modern medicine. So it makes it easy for someone like RFK to fearmonger about its effects now because we've all benefited from it at this point, right? And everybody, again, recognizes that our healthcare industry is this massive scam. But again, all of the issues that he points to are simply related to the fact that our agencies are influenced not by what is best for human health or what the people actually want, but by the wealthy interests that lobby them.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to do anything to attack that. He just wants to put in place he wants to prioritize a different kind of industry that would just profit all the same. Mm-hmm. So it's nonsense.
And he loves to get on there and say, we need to go back to strong evidence-based medicine. Brother, where have you fucking been?
Yeah.
I don't understand where you've been. I don't know what you're doing. He's of the same crowd that thinks that like GMOs are just strictly bad just because it's modified food.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, he's got all kinds of wacky positions.
Yeah, he does. And it'll be really interesting going over those as he just attempts to implement more and more. Maybe it's good that Chevron was overturned, Yeah. Silver lining.
RFK is a stupid person's idea of a smart person.
Literally.
Like genuinely. Like if thinking that RFK will meaningfully push back against big pharma is like thinking JD Vance is going to do anything about like corporate interests. They're not going to do anything. It's just populism. They don't have actually any real intent to structurally change the system. They just want to be in charge of it.
Yeah.
So that's not great.
No, it's not great. I look forward to, I don't know, him getting rid of vaccine requirements for like elementary school kids. I look forward to mumps coming back.
Yeah, that's gonna be good.
the measles coming back.
Welcome back,
way.
Easily preventable diseases.
Yeah, literally. Welcome back diseases. Welcome back polio.
Yeah.
Welcome back diseases we've already fixed.
And I think he has a track record of doing this. Didn't he cause it was like a measles or mumps or something outbreak in American Samoa?
Yeah, actually.
Something like that because he fearmongered about the vaccine. So people didn't take the vaccine and a bunch of people died.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Bringing it back home. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy. Next pick, Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard has been selected to be the Director of National Intelligence. Of course, she doesn't have really any job experience for this. She was just a House member for a while, a Democratic House member for a while. I'm anti-job experience anyway, though.
I think she was also like in the National Guard.
Yeah.
But like that's it.
Yeah, but that doesn't... That's not a bureaucratic position, you know what I mean? Gabbard is known to have some very questionable positions in support of Bashar al-Assad from Syria and Vladimir Putin, of course, from Russia. At times, she's just directly parroted Russian talking points about Ukraine. The one that comes to mind is like the biolabs theory, this idea that we were funding biolabs in Ukraine and that's why Russia invaded to stop the sort of like chemical weapons that we were building. Of course, there were no biolabs.
She's a proponent of that?
Yeah,
now she's the head of the.
She has said that
crazy.
Like verbatim. Yeah, she's going to be leading the National Intelligence Agency.
I can't wait 50 years down the line when we finally get like declassified all the Gabbard years. What the fuck we find out that she ordered these people to do?
Yeah, and look, we're critics of the American empire, of course, but she's going to be responsible for overseeing 18 agencies that make up the quote-unquote intelligence community.
I didn't even know there were that many.
In the United States. And surely nothing can go wrong. Surely nothing can go wrong. Like with this administration, like China's really got a leg up in terms of taking the position as global hegemon.
No, absolutely, they're ready to take over, especially as America continues to isolate itself.
Yeah,
make itself a pariah with support from Israel outside the UN. Like, I don't know, maybe we will be bowing down to Xi Jinping.
Get ready to learn Chinese, buddy.
Yeah, start learning studying. Mandarin.
I've been a Tulsi hater since day one. I didn't even like her when she ran for president in 2020. So I feel vindicated.
Tulsi and RFK, two people that left the left.
Yeah, they left the left.
They left the left in a big way, and they were bigly rewarded for it.
Yeah.
Again, I cannot stop hitting on the fact that RFK would have spoiled Trump, as we saw by people still voting for RFK, like as much as people voted for Jill Stein during the general election, even though he withdrew from the race because Trump told him to, like that shouldn't have ever been allowed.
As soon as it became evident that RFK was going to pull from Trump's vote totals, he dropped out of the race and supported Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Once it became imminently clear that he was not going to pull Democrats away, that he was actually repulsive to a lot of Democrats. Once that was obvious, he stopped. He got out of the race.
Who'd have thought?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
man, I love
very
it.
unserious government.
But I just like, what did Tulsi Gabbard do to get that position?
She Trump supporter. I mean,
I know she's been like supporting Trump, but it's like. She was a Democrat up until 2020. It kind of like flipped over, and then just all of a sudden she helps him with debate prep for the debate he lost.
And now she gets to be the director of national intelligence.
Like that's a powerful cabinet position.
Yeah,
like that is one of the actual cabinet positions that you can actually do something with.
Created in the wake of 9/11.
Yeah,
to make sure that all the intelligence agencies communicate with each other about various things going on in the world.
Now they get to communicate through her.
She's going to be running it. Like,
That's
what is
crazy.
she going to tell them to do? You know what I mean? That's crazy.
Exactly. What's she going to do with all these black sites we got, like, everywhere? Are we going to bring torture back? Like, what's going on?
Yeah. And she also, like, hates Muslims. Like,
she does.
Hates them.
Oh, what a wonderful segue.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
what a wonderful segue into talking about our new Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth. This guy was just a Fox News host, and he was selected for Secretary of Defense. He is a total psycho. I was floored reading about this guy. Like, one, I heard he was a Fox News host, and immediately I'm like, what the fuck? Okay, what qualifies him to be Secretary of Defense? And it's like, okay, he was a 20-year National Guard veteran who was told he could not attend Biden's inauguration due to possible political extremism.
Damn. That's crazy.
That's nuts. What the fuck?
He served on the National Guard and he couldn't go to Biden. That's awesome.
I think in the DC Guard, and he was not allowed at the inauguration.
Oh my God.
They told him, no, you cannot come. You cannot come. Explicitly because of extremism or like extremist ties.
Was this after he was on Fox News?
Maybe.
Probably, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes, it was after he's on Fox News because he used his influence to do things that we'll talk about in a little bit. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But either way, he was marked as a possible extremist when another DC Guardsman sent pictures of Pete's tattoos to the DC Guard's physical security manager. The tattoo in question was the words Deus Vult on his inner bicep, and he also has a massive like Jerusalem cross on his chest.
Why? Is he Jewish?
No. Jerusalem cross is a symbol of the Crusades.
Oh.
So is Deus Vult. So that's already like not a great look. The Crusades kind of sucked for a lot of people.
On some like Christian nationalism shit?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's like, while Deus Vult was the tattoo like of main concern in the email, and that's why he got kicked out of the inauguration, both symbols are associated explicitly with the Crusades. And through the online far right, they've kind of just also become associated with just the alt-right and anti-Muslim sentiments. Explicitly, people on the alt-right love to invoke the Crusades as a response to jihad or what they perceive as jihad. They're like, well, if they can do it, why can't we?
Oh, naturally.
Type shit. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I disavow that and condemn that wholly. But I don't know if Pete does.
Dog, getting like far-right logos and insignias tattooed on your body is so fucking weird.
So corny.
I mean, being alt-right is already weird.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not gonna condone that behavior.
Yeah.
But then getting it tattooed on your body for people to see?
No, it's crazy. It's like a massive. He's got the Deus Vult on his inner arm, and he's the Jerusalem cross just massive on his pec.
And he's also got We the People on his arm.
He's got We the People, and he's got an American flag with like an AR-15 on it.
It's just Christian nationalism.
So it's like that's crazy. He's a fucking psychopath, right? And it's like, I understand that like those two things may not be like concrete examples that this guy is just a far right extremist. He's concrete examples that he's a Nazi. But like with these niche symbols that have been adopted by the alt-right, they're adopted in a way so that there's always going to be this plausible deniability associated with them. But, you know, I can take that and I can say, all right, let's also look at his actions.
Of course.
And this guy's got a lot of actions, some very damning positions that he has written down, said, and or just straight up advocated for. So he calls the left just, quote, America wreckers and America's domestic enemies.
Enemies
That's
from within.
Just standard. Yeah. That's the tamest thing that I could find, pretty much. You know what I mean? And with regard to the moral question about the people who chose to drop nukes in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, can you guess what he said? When questioned about the morals of dropping the bomb in Japan, he said, "We won. Who cares?"
That's not great.
That's crazy.
He's going to be the Secretary of Defense.
He said they won. Who cares? Talking about like Oppenheimer and the people who chose to drop the bomb. Maybe not Oppenheimer, but like the president at the time.
So it's just might makes right.
Yeah. No, it's explicitly might makes right. They won. Awesome. Who cares? What do you mean? Who cares? Like, what do you mean? Who cares?
There's a moral question.
I understand that there's like a contingent of people that think that World War II was like so bad, maybe dropping the nukes was like something you had to do, but there's still like a moral question to engage with there.
Of course.
Even if you're a bomb defender. Like,
yeah.
That's just nuts. In general, with regard to his writings, the AP reports that, quote, Hegseth's writing is contemptuous of the policies, laws, and treaties that constrain war fighters on the battlefield.
Oh my God.
From restrictive rules of engagement to the Geneva Conventions, which he suggests are outdated against enemies who don't abide by them.
Critic of the Geneva Conventions is insane.
What the fuck do you mean the Geneva Convention is outdated? What do you mean you should like have conduct when you kill people is outdated?
He's like, that should be a checklist. Not laws.
The way this guy is talking, it's crazy. And you know, speaking to the idea that the Geneva Convention should be a checklist, we need to keep this in mind when we then consider that he has used his platform to advocate for multiple soldiers accused of war crimes, including an army commando who allegedly killed an alleged Afghan bomb maker, and an army lieutenant who was convicted of ordering his men to fire on 3 Afghans, killing 2 of them who were unarmed.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He's in defense of those guys.
Crazy shit. Sick. In those 2 instances, he successfully used his influence to secure pardons for them from Trump.
Come on, Tom.
Army lieutenant convicted of ordering people to fire on civilians, killing 2 of them.
Yeah,
he got that guy pardoned.
Just being explicitly like, there's not even commentary to offer there. It's just being
that
evil.
guy was in military prison, and his appeals had been denied by military judges. Like,
and then one of Trump's favorite Fox News hosts came along and said, "Hey, let my boy out."
And then he did.
Yeah.
And then he did it. And now that guy's nominated for DOD.
Yeah.
This guy's a fucking psychopath. That's
being
crazy.
Critical of like militaries restraining themselves is quite the thing to say when you're talking about the American military.
What do you mean we shouldn't have rules of engagement?
Yeah.
What do you mean you should just be able to walk in and like shoot anybody? Like that's absurd.
This dude would have loved Henry Kissinger.
I'm saying.
Bro would have loved Henry Kissinger.
I'm saying. I think there was also a shit in the AP article that I read about him being like a vocal advocate for a promotion for Trump eventually promoted some Navy SEAL that took a picture posing with like a dead body of somebody that he fucking shot, I'm assuming. Bad move. I don't think that that's cool. Yeah. I don't think you should really do that in situations, no matter who it is. You know what I'm saying? But I think Pete also advocated for that guy. So that's nuts. But honestly, that's not where it ends.
Yeah.
That's not even where it ends.
Okay.
He also published a book this year in June 2024 called, quote, The War on Warriors, Behind the Betrayal of the Men Who Keep Us Free. Gas title right there.
Jesus Christ.
We're invoking a lot.
And this is a recent book.
This is a book that came out a couple months ago.
This shit's on his mind. This is current
like
thoughts.
5 months ago, this shit came out, right? The war on... We're invoking a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on here, right? In it, pertaining to the military, he wrote, quote, America's white sons and daughters are walking away, and who can blame them?
Oh my God.
He's a big like advocate against like woke generals, and he thinks like woke generals pushing DEI are the reason why we're facing like a recruitment crisis, not the fact that like people don't generally fuck with like what we're doing overseas anymore, and people, young men especially, understand that like they don't want to fight and die for something that they don't think really matters anymore, considering we haven't fought like a just war since World War II.
Dog, I'm sorry that you showing up in our fucking high schools doesn't work anymore.
No, literally.
Like, cry about it.
They show up with the fucking pull-up bar and expect that that's going to make me want to go kill people. No, brother, I'm chilling.
He's like so close to just saying the 14 words.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Oh, it's nuts. And like it kind of like gets worse. Specifically, he's got this chapter on women, and I found this great I found this great post just highlighting a bunch of quotes that he has to say about like what he thinks about women serving in the military. So here we go. Quote, the gender integration of the military is a huge part of our modern confusion about the goals of war, in particular, the choice to put women in combat roles. That's just like premise.
Okay.
That's just like the premise right there. He is anti-women in combat roles.
Women should not be in combat roles.
Yes,
okay.
and damn near in the military in general.
Feels like a normal right-wing take. That's okay.
That's,
weird.
That's just the start of it. You know what I mean? We got to build.
Laced with sexism, of course.
We're telling narratives here, and we got to build. Next quote. Unlike the mythologies of great Amazonian warriors in the Greek mythology, most of the world's accounts of women in war were connected to seductive and sexual power.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know about that one, Pete.
Only gooners think like that. Only fucking porn addicts sit there and actually think like that.
We're getting a gooner in the White House.
Yes, a woman's role in war should be sex and seducing. That's what they do. They're temptresses that tempt me. This is also like a traditional family values kind of guy who's been divorced, is in a current marriage where he has, I think, 2 or 3 kids, and had an extramarital affair with a Fox News producer and had a child with them. I don't know, he espouses traditional values, but he doesn't seem to act on them.
Yeah, it's a typical right-winger, just like Jesse Waters.
Yeah, so moving on from just the straight gooner brain take, next quote. Women are life givers, regardless of what the abortion industry might want us to think.
Just out of left field, bringing in some unrelated issue.
Oh, just wait. Next quote. No, this is my personal favorite one right here.
Okay.
He says, quote, our military now trains our metaphorical life givers to be combat life takers. And when they become biological life givers, our DOD and VA help them be baby life takers in the name of keeping them on team as combat life takers. The logic of evil. Banger right there.
My God, dog.
That's what fucking goated.
I don't even know what to say about that.
How do you come up with that? And you know he thought he was on some shit with that too.
That's crazy. So the argument is that putting women in combat roles makes them more likely to get an abortion?
Well, no. Putting women in combat roles alienates them from their natural God-given role as being the birthers of life.
Well, because men are built to kill.
Exactly. And then somehow eventually, when they do eventually fulfill their innate responsibility, which is, I don't know, a baby in the tummy.
He does know that like men play a role in giving life, right? Like men play an active role in that process.
Men take life, women give life. That's a very, very core premise
as here. Nature ordained.
As nature ordained. I think he's got some shit in here about how men are biologically just like want to fight and type shit. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy. It's barbarism.
Yeah, it's literally barbarism. But then he makes the leap to say, and then our DOD and VA want them to kill these babies so that they can be ineffective in combat more.
I don't see the connection at all.
He's got a bunch of like sections in here about how like the VA and DOD push abortions on these people.
That's so. I love the idea that people are pushing abortions. It's just an option, dog.
It's good. Oh, this is another banger quote. If you train a group of men to treat women equally on the battlefield, then you will be hard pressed to ask them to treat women differently at home. Like, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good idea.
That's what I'm saying. What do you mean you want men to treat women differently at home? I'll read it again. Quote, if you train a group of men to treat women equally on the battlefield, then you will be hard pressed to ask them to treat women differently at home.
So
they're being trained to treat women equally on the battlefield. Unnatural.
Wrong, okay.
Wrong, immoral. That's the logic of evil. And then they go home and they continue to treat the women in their lives equally. Wrong.
I don't know about you, but I feel like if I was in the military and I was told, you got to treat your women comrades the same as you would treat anybody else, I would not go home and treat my significant other like a fucking soldier.
No, literally.
Those are different people.
Yeah.
So unless he's just saying like the military's making us treat women the same. He served in the fucking military, by the way.
National Guard, yeah. I think he served in like Afghanistan and Iraq, and I don't know, he probably gets hard at the thought of like shooting guns at Afghans. You know what I'm saying? That's the fucking type, you know what I mean? But like he's got this general thing that's just the underlying prescription there is men and women should not be treated equally.
Of course, yeah.
What the fuck are we talking about? Here's another banger of a quote. I'm going to say something politically incorrect that is perfectly commonsensical observation. Dads push us to take risks. Moms put the training wheels on our bike. We need moms, but not in the military, especially in combat roles. Quote, the gender integration of the military is a huge part of our modern confusion about the goals of war. In particular, the choice to put women in combat roles. What does like putting women in combat roles have to do with us not understanding the goals of war?
Well, and it's like he doesn't know that like the Geneva Conventions and every rule of war that we have was designed by dudes, right?
Yeah, on God.
Women were not involved. In fact, the Hillary Clinton thing, the first time she talked to Bill after the whole Monica Lewinsky conflict,
Syria, right?
She wanted to bomb Syria. Like, what? I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this guy is just a genuinely like a fucking psychopath. And it's like, he fundamentally, this is why I say he's got just like a murder boner, right?
Yeah.
Because like he fundamentally misunderstands war. War throughout human history has 100% been about resource allocation.
Yeah.
We have only ever fought wars to either expand our territory or allocate more resources. That's what we continue to fight wars to do, basically.
Yeah.
Like,
I think we could have used some training wheels in Iraq, by the way.
I think so,
I think if we had some more women in the government, maybe we never would have gone to Iraq.
You know, even like Bush's Congress thought we needed training wheels in Iraq when they outlawed torture. That was Bush, right? That outlawed torture because they were doing it so much?
No, Bush did the torture.
And then Obama got rid of it.
I don't remember who. Is it illegal to do torture now? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure there was like a big thing about like Bush is doing too much torture.
That's when the images came out of Guantanamo Bay. The truly horrifying.
The fucking picture of the dude in like the with the thing over his head. The famous image. And
fucking mortifying.
Either way, we did so much torture that it got us to be like, maybe we should stop. Maybe we should step back.
Because it's ineffective too.
It got like Congress to agree on that. Like, that's crazy. You got Congress to agree because we were doing something so bad?
Yeah, and more broadly, it's like this is the right-wing understanding of why it feels like the American empire is declining, right? He's blaming it entirely on women. But in reality, I think the left-wing understanding of like how the military has evolved makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Right? Like the military and the American empire itself wants to remain palatable to the people within the country.
Yep.
And to do so, it's got to evolve in such a way where it seems more equal, it seems more inclusive, when in reality, of course, inside the military, it abuses women like crazy.
Oh, and that's the other thing. He's got this other quote. He loves talking about how the VA is like pushing abortions on here. I've got two quotes I'm going to read off. The number of female veterans seeking abortions is off the charts. Of the nearly 1 million females in the VA health system, nearly 18% have sought at least one abortion. Thank you for serving our country. Now we will help you kill your unborn child. End quote.
18%, that's so little.
That's what I'm
so
saying.
few.
And it's crazy. And it's also like there's also a rampant issue of sexual assaults in the military.
Yes, yeah.
He doesn't want to contend with that information,
Yeah.
though. The biggest problem with women in the military in general is the men who assault them. Like, but he doesn't want to talk about that. He just wants to talk about how we're alienating them from their natural God-given role of being the carrier of my child and nothing more.
And he's complaining about like white men not wanting to serve in the military anymore. It's like, dog, if you kick women out, that's going to cut down the military force.
Yeah.
It's going to make us even weaker. It's less people.
It's going to make us less lethal in the fucking rhetoric that they like to use.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
He is all about having like a hyper-lethal military.
Yeah, I think the broader point is that like in the same way that corporations sort of like progressive wash their identities to make it seem more palatable while just camouflaging the terrible practices that they actually have. It's the same thing that the military's done.
Oh,
I remember
absolutely.
a few years ago, the CIA, I think it was the CIA, dropped like a woke video where there was it was a gay
a gay black woman.
No, I don't know.
Or a gay Mexican woman.
Yeah, it was like a gay Hispanic woman, and she was talking about like how she's made it to the top of the CIA, and the CIA is like an inclusive place now. It's all to make it seem more digestible and acceptable to an audience that has grown more progressive, but maybe wouldn't like the excesses of empire if it didn't have this sort of like sheen of progressivism over it.
It's that fucking meme where it's like Republicans dropping bombs and the Democrats dropping bombs, and they have like a rainbow sticker on them. Yeah.
It's all the same machine. It's just meant to distract you from what's really going on. It's camouflage for the abuses of people everywhere.
Which is like why it's so crazy that he's like so anti this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're doing nothing. Like the same things are still happening.
Yeah, my problem with the military is not that women are in it, but that we senselessly murder people around the globe.
Precisely.
And it seems like he wants more senseless murder.
Oh, of course. Well, less senseless murder because the VA is encouraging all these abortions and murder.
Course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Two more quotes for you because like this guy's a hit maker.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
He's an author.
Quote, the VA claim that PTSD and mental health are not the only reasons that women need free abortions. There is, of course, the fear of reprimand when they get pregnant. Usually happens right after deployment orders are cut.
What
He's just saying that they're just I guess pushing abortions so that they deploy them more.
Oh, is it like the idea that like women can't have careers often because if they get pregnant, that means
I
they
think
can't
so.
climb a
And I
ladder
feel
and
like
all
that ties in with the idea that, women shouldn't be they should be at home. They should be at home just fucking conked out on benzos all day.
Yeah, this guy's fucking insane. Women should be doing whatever they want.
Exactly.
Dog.
They shouldn't be allowed to have credit cards type shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Last quote. This one also about abortion. This guy's got a bone to pick with abortions being paid for by the VA. Abortion is not between a doctor and a woman. And I defined a woman as a person that is actually a woman. It is not.
Come on, man. Right at the end of fucking. He just
got to throw it in there.
He's ducking behind cover, pulling a grenade pin and tossing it overhead blindly. That's sick as hell.
Absolutely. He's on Nuketown just throwing that shit at Blue Alley. Throwing that shit at Blue Alley from Spawn. Oh my goodness. All right, back to the top. Abortion is not between a doctor and a woman. And I define a woman as a person that is actually a woman. It is now a decision made between her doctor, her therapist, herself, her veteran advocate, and her first-line supervisor in the military. Who could possibly argue with that logic? Well, dog, those are all people involved in the process.
She can consult whoever she wants, yeah. Like, she can lean on trusted people in her life.
And it's like, if it's being paid for by public funds, you talk to the people who are paying and be like, I need this procedure. Here's the doctor saying I want it, so can you approve it?
Crazy. He's going to be running the biggest bureaucracy in the fucking world.
Yeah. The biggest jobs program in the world.
The DOD is enormous. Oh, my fucking... maybe the one good thing that'll come out of this is that he will kick all the women out of the military, and then the U.S. won't be able to do terrible things overseas as much because we'll have we'll have lost 25% of the DoD workforce.
True. We'll drastically reduce our capacity to maintain empire. Maybe we'll finally close the billion bases we have everywhere.
That would be cool. But I don't know. That's the one silver lining I can think of.
Yeah. Me too.
That guy sucks.
That guy does suck. Oh, and last thing he wants to do is rename the Defense Department to the War Department. This guy is just hard about war.
That's corny.
Yeah.
Didn't it used to be called the
War Department? Yeah.
Why would we call it that, dog?
He just wants it to be aesthetically. I want to kill people.
Trump's supposed to be the dove.
Trump is supposed to be the dove, and here's this guy talking about that. Also, women were integrated into fully integrated into combat roles in 2016, the year he was elected.
Come on, man.
And that's a thing that persisted under him.
Yeah, oh my God. To blame all of the military's issues on something that happened 8 years ago, that's hilarious.
And, he's a big anti-Mark Milley guy, woke General Mark Milley, you know what I'm saying?
And the only woke thing he did was read some books that senators didn't like.
Literally.
So... pretty fun.
That's pretty fun. That's who we have looking forward to, leading the most lethal fighting force in the world.
Do you ever think, I want to buy my way into heaven?
Always.
I want to buy my way into the good graces of the people that I'm listening to in my ears right now.
That's right.
You can do that if you head over to patreon.com/headintheofficepod. And not only will you be supporting the show, not only will you get early access to all of the content that we produce, but you'll also get an ad-free experience on the Patreon every Sunday, every time we release an episode.
You'll be able to pull up to the sermon on Sunday, on the Lord's Day, to hear the gospel as it's spoken.
Yeah, no more being late, no more interruptions mid-episode if you're listening to this ad right now.
Exactly.
It's on patreon.com/headintheofficepod. It's one of the best ways to support the show. It's one of the longest enduring ways to support the show.
Help buy a pass from all the sins you've committed. Start coming to church.
Yeah.
And we can get things going.
Yeah, that's only if you head over to patreon.com/headintheofficepod. It's in the description. It's there for you. Enough on Pete Hegseth's body of work, though.
Yeah, that's a banger.
We need to move on to maybe the most important aspect of the federal government, of Trump 2.0.
Oh, okay.
And that's efficiency.
It is.
We sort of foreshadowed it at the beginning, and now we're going to dive deep into what an efficient government will look like now that we're leaving the Biden economy, Biden inflation, and we're getting into Trumponomics.
Biden bureaucratic bloat. You know what I'm saying? I'm sick of it. Build back better? No. Biden bureaucratic bloat.
That's absolutely what it is. So Trump has said that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy will, of course, be running the Department of Government Efficiency, which is acronymed as DOGE. And
oh, God, kill me.
Yeah, no, literally, that shit makes me want to die. I'm about to do a solo January 6th hearing that nonsense. But you know what screams government efficiency to me?
What?
Two people in the same position doing the job of one person.
He's bringing people on to cut quote unquote critical redundancies.
Yeah.
Introducing a critical redundancy.
Yeah, two people, and we already have the Government Accountability Office.
And it's funny because You'll get to it. Never mind.
Yeah. Well, it's like no telling how stupid it's going to get with these two guys. But of course, Elon Musk and Vivek, they have been charged with leading this Department of Government Efficiency, which, by the way, is not even a real department because you need an act of Congress to do that. It's an entity outside of the federal government that's going to advise Donald Trump on where cuts need to be made, apparently. But regardless, Elon Musk has pledged that he wants to cut $2 trillion from the government budget. And I want to put this in perspective for you. The government every year spends roughly $7 trillion. And using 2021 numbers as a reference here, mandatory spending is about $5 trillion of that stuff. That is legislation that has been passed previously that basically promises to pay out certain amounts every single year. $5 trillion of that is what's called mandatory spending. And it's stuff like Social Security, unemployment, Medicare, Medicaid, that sort of thing. These are entitlements. The government is required to pay this money out. So if we just look at discretionary spending, this is the spending that Congress decides on every year. Every time we talk about, we need a spending bill, the government might shut down, we're talking about discretionary spending. In 2021, discretionary spending was $1.6 trillion in total. And half of that discretionary spending was the military. And I'm sure Trump isn't going to allow Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to cut Pete Hegseth's military budget.
Pete's not going to allow that.
Exactly.
He might have to step in.
So it's unclear where this $2 trillion number is coming from. And the implication from Elon and Vivek is that it is career bureaucrats that are soaking up all the federal funds in the government's budget. But according to the Congressional Budgeting Office, only $271 billion was spent on the civilian workforce in the federal government in 2022.
Nothing.
$271 billion.
That's like a drop in a bucket.
That's not $2 trillion.
That's not $2 trillion.
And obviously you can't get rid of all of those people, right? Like even if you cut half of those, that's not making up the $2 trillion number. And I'll read you a quote here. It says in 2022, the federal government employed about 2.3 million workers, not counting military personnel or employees of the Postal Service, across a wide variety of departments, agencies, and occupations. Those workers received compensation in the form of wages and benefits, such as health insurance and pensions, at a total cost to the government of about $271 billion in fiscal year 2022. About 60% of that amount is spent on the three departments that employ the most workers: Defense, the VA, and Homeland Security. And you also have to keep in mind that for every employee fired, that is a potential for the government to run even slower.
Yeah.
Because you can't just cut one person, then the government's more efficient. You cut one person, it might move slower than it did before.
You cut one person, and then people have to absorb that person's job functions.
Yeah.
And then you cut that person, and then people have to absorb more job functions.
And then what happens if the person that's left is sick?
And like I'm not anti the idea that like there's some bloat in the government. That's a pretty uncontroversial thing. But these just radical sweeping proposals that we're just going to cut $2 trillion. We're just going to like get rid of that just because the number sounds good is just so ignorant and it shows a massive disunderstanding of the process.
Yeah. Well, and if they're going to try to cut $2 trillion off the federal government's budget, then it's going to have to come from entitlements at some point. Like Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. That stuff will eventually have to be cut because, again, it's not going to be the defense budget. The military spending never goes down. That shit always goes up. We're not ever going to stop sending money to, Israel and other geopolitical entities that we want to protect.
We're not going to cut spending from Homeland Security.
No,
Trump's not going to let that happen. That doesn't mesh well with his image of this like strongman leader. It's not what's going to happen.
Yeah. So it's not clear where $2 trillion is coming from. I doubt that they're actually going to be able to get it done, especially because, again, not a real department, not actually in the government. Of course, the Department of Education is like the first one up on the chopping block that it seems like conservatives have unanimously agreed is just going to be abolished in its entirety. But that doesn't constitute $2 trillion.
Yeah.
All the bloat that we're talking about is just in the military. It's military spending where a lot of the bloat is, and we're not going to do anything about that.
And it's like I'd also seen figures that Elon Musk has come out and said that there's like 270 government agencies right now. Something like along those lines.
Is it that many? That's a lot of agencies.
So. Let me double check. Let me do some live fact checking.
I mean, either way, like there's no way they get to the $2 trillion number. I know it's just a thing that Elon Musk said when he was asked about it, so he probably hasn't really thought about it that much. But even the idea that they're going to cut anywhere close to that is just ridiculous. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Oh, shit. I'm seeing conflicting information. This is ridiculous.
Damn, Google.
But there's like over 100, like USA.gov lists 137 independent executive agencies and 268 units in the cabinet. That's from like the Google AI overview. Either way, I had seen Elon Musk say that he wants to cut that down to just 99.
Why?
Just an arbitrary number. Like, if you're saying you want just 99 agencies, that tells me, oh, you just don't want the triple digits.
That shit's got to go crazy if you're stupid.
I'm saying.
That shit goes crazy if you're stupid.
We're going to make this so much more efficient. There are all these agencies that have been built up and approved as acts of Congress.
Yeah.
Let's just cut it down to 99 because that sounds better.
Look, and again, there is bloat in the government. There are things that we could probably get rid of, but it's not. You're not going to find it in you're not going to find the amount that they're talking about in the fucking Department of Education or anything like that. It's
absolutely
ridiculous.
not. And Trump has already gone on, and he hasn't appointed education yet, but he's gone on. He made a video. He's like, yeah, we are getting rid of federal funding for schools. That's all going back to the states.
Great.
Wonderful.
Fantastic.
Gotta love that, man.
Yeah.
Gotta love that.
So that's the Department of Government Efficiency. I love that they call it a department.
Oh, here it is. From Business Insider. Known for streamlining efficiency at his companies, Musk says he wants to cut bureaucracy, shrink the federal workforce, and trim the number of federal agencies down to no more than 99. There are currently more than 440.
It's such an arbitrary number. 99.
It's literally just to not be 100.
Again,
like that, a stupid person thinks that's smart.
That shit goes crazy if you're stupid. That shit goes crazy if you're stupid. Just no critical thinking, whatever. Where are all these cuts coming from?
It's like, what do you think these agencies sprouted out from? Yeah. Sure, maybe, a couple of them are probably stupid and do stupid things. Mm-hmm. But there's probably a reason that they do something and you can just get rid of it or absorb its function into another agency. And it's like, if you're cutting down, more than 75% of the amount of federal agencies, who absorbs that work?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
The remaining 99 just become huge. Yeah. And they just become massive bureaucracies where they have to deal with people in different subject matters because these are centered around people who are subject matter experts.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, there's absolutely bloat you could cut off from the government, but they have no vision for it. They're not actually looking for it. I mean, Vivek was on some podcast recently, and he said some shit like, first day you can fire everyone whose social security number ends in an odd number. Like, it's completely random. Like, you're not choosing for the best people. You're not trying to get the best people in the job. You're just cutting it. You're just bringing a sledgehammer to it. You're just breaking the system for the purpose of breaking it.
Like you said, nothing screams efficiency like appointing two people to the same position.
Of course.
Nothing screams efficiency like creating a wholly useless NGO that the only thing it can do is advise.
Yeah.
Because that's the important thing about Doge is it's like they're making big promises. They're coming in through Elon Musk and Vivek are talking about, we're going to slash all these people. We're going to get rid of these people. We're going to make it hell for civil servants to want to go to work every day. All they can do is tell, hey, can you fire this guy?
Yeah.
Hey, can you get rid of this? They can't make any budgetary recommendations. Elon Musk says he wants to cut $2 trillion from the federal budget. How are you going to fucking do that?
Literally how? Literally,
he can't.
It's Social Security. You got to cut Social Security at some point.
Exactly.
There's no way around it.
You can't do any of that. You can't make any changes to how things are funded without an act of Congress. And we talk about how moderate Republicans don't exist. For the purposes of this, there are a lot of quote unquote moderate Republicans that would not vote for Social Security to go.
Yeah.
Like what are you going to do? And it's kind of funny because maybe it's like, we know Donald Trump hated Elon Musk before this.
Yeah.
And then Elon Musk gave him $2 trillion. And then Donald Trump said, okay, maybe you're chill now. Here's a fake position.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just to humiliate him.
No, I think Trump feels beholden to Elon Musk at this point.
Yeah.
Because Elon Musk helped him win in 2024 here. And now he just can't get rid of him. And we've seen Trump quotes to that effect where he's basically like, Elon Musk is hanging around Mar-a-Lago and I can't get rid of him. I can't get rid of him.
That's so funny.
Like, I think Trump maybe feels burdened by this guy.
I hope he annoys him so bad that Trump switches up again. That would be perfect. And it's also like, everybody else got cabinet positions, but Elon Musk and Vivek were probably the loudest and most ardent supporters of him. Just the biggest meat riders, flag on the play, excessive dick riding.
And they get busy work.
They get the fake position. Like,
that's
come on,
so
man.
crazy. I would be so, and Elon Musk is geeked about it.
Yeah.
He won't leave Trump alone at this point.
And he is tweeting like he has real power. Elon Musk is tweeting like there are sweeping changes that he is going to make to the federal government.
Yeah. Well,
brother, all you can do is talk.
He made a Department of Government Efficiency Twitter account and gave it the government check badge. It's not going to be, well, first of all, it's not even a real department now. And Trump has said it's not going to be a real government department.
He's not even going to push for it.
Oh my God. They gave him the unplugged controller.
He gave him a participation trophy.
I wonder how Vivek feels about this. Because
he's smart at least.
Vivek doesn't seem like a dumb guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I wonder if Vivek is pissed.
Because it's like he's been doing all this to ride for a cabinet position. Like, that's what he was going for. And Trump couldn't even give him interior. He gave it to the burger maniacs.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Vivek's cool with it. I don't know. He kind of asked for it ever since that debate moment where he's like, this should be Tucker Carlson, Joe Rogan, and Elon Musk, not CNN.
Oh, my God, man. Oh, my God.
Oh, man. Efficiency.
Government efficiency. That's the name of the game right there. That's what it's all about. Elon Musk, he's known for making Twitter more efficient and less of a bad place.
Yeah, that place runs very efficiently, for sure. Some other notable picks that are going to be in Trump's cabinet. First of all, Kristi Noem as Secretary of Homeland Security. Dog killer. Dog killer Kristi Noem, governor of South Dakota, I believe.
One of them, yeah. Because Burgum is North Dakota.
Burgum's North Dakota. Kristi Noem, I don't know what qualifies her for Department of Homeland Security.
Literally, what qualifies her? Nothing qualifies any of these people for anything other than Kristi Noem has been a loud Trump supporter as well, I'm pretty sure. So
sometimes I think, the talk of qualifications can be a little bit silly because like Biden appointed Pete Buttigieg for Secretary of Transportation. What the fuck does he know about trains?
That's true. Qualification talk is dumb, but there's an extent where it's like, you at least
you got to have justification for why they got the job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't know. Didn't Pete do public transport somewhere or some shit?
I don't think so.
Damn.
He was governor, he was mayor of South Bend, Indiana.
Oh, Indiana, not even Illinois. Pritzker, Illinois.
He was a mayor. He was sort of a party loyalist, and then he got the job because he talked well, I guess.
Yeah, but
during the primary.
At least Pete is a real politician.
He's a reasonable guy.
He's like a reasonable dude.
Yeah.
I fuck with bending the rules for people who are cool.
Yeah.
And not for people who suck.
But it's not clear to me why Kristi Noem gets Department of Homeland Security. I guess just her being loyal to Trump.
Yeah, transportation doesn't matter.
Yeah. We don't got transportation in this country.
That's what I'm saying. What federal transportation are you looking at? The fucking FAA?
Yeah. We got Doug Burgum from North Dakota as Secretary of the Interior, which is responsible for the preservation of lands and parks and stuff like that.
I can't wait for Burgum to get out there on stage and just talking about those noble savages.
Oh my God, if he drops that's gonna be crazy.
It would be. It would be nuts.
North Dakota.
That's what I'm saying.
North Dakota.
He's North Dakota old billionaire white guy out of touch. He's the demographic to be dropping Noble Savage in 2024.
That's crazy. We got Susan Wiles as White House Chief of Staff. Of course, that is not an appointed position. She doesn't need to be confirmed by the Senate, but she is a corporate lobbyist and has been with Trump for quite a while now. So she's going to be sort of running the White House operation. Lee Zeldin is going to be EPA administrator, and I don't think EPA administrator requires Senate approval because EPA was created with an executive order, I think.
It's an executive agency?
Yeah.
Maybe? Okay.
Yeah. Lee Zeldin, though, is not an environmentalist really by any stretch. I think... I don't want to talk out of my ass here, but I think he said some shit about 5G towers at one point. So
I know RFK said shit about 5G towers, so that's good.
So maybe I got a brainworm.
We're like Eiffel Towering the 5G issue.
And then the last one I want to talk about here, the one that really stuck out to me, is Trump is appointing Tom Homan as his border czar. And I wanted to give you a few notes on Homan so you could really know who he is. First of all, he is a co-author of Project 2025.
Yep.
So never beating the allegations here, I suppose.
They aren't even trying to beat him anymore.
No.
Matt Walsh came out and just tweeted, it is the agenda, actually.
Yep. Tom Homan was one of the top deportation guys in the Obama administration in ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. He was an early proponent in the Trump administration of family separation policies as a deterrent for immigration into the United States.
Naturally. We've known very well throughout human history that just harsh, over-the-top punishments do really well at deterring crime.
Exactly. They absolutely work. Don't look at the stats. And when pressed on family separation this time around, a couple of months ago, he said, quote, "Families can be deported together."
That's crazy. That's crazy. We found the worst people. We found a group. We're assembling a team of the worst people in America and just giving them just power.
Yeah, and if this shit from Tom Homan isn't evil, nothing is.
Yeah.
Straight up just evil, cruel for the purpose of being cruel.
Damn, and it's crazy because when Democrats have these shitty made up positions like borders are, they don't do fuck all with them. We get Kamala Harris going to Guatemala and saying do not come.
Yes,
and that's it. But when Republicans find these bullshit made up positions that have no real power, they get in there and they create narratives that actually influence legislation to happen or executive action to happen that causes bad things.
Yeah, they take their job seriously,
man,
in the bad way.
That's crazy.
So that's Tom Homan. I'll absolutely cursed lineup.
Yeah, that's a bad blunt rotation right
no
there.
idea where the government's going to go from here. Of course, there's a question now of all the department secretaries of if Trump can actually get them all confirmed by the Senate. All of them, including the attorney general picks, all of those picks need to be approved by the Senate with a majority vote. I can see most of them getting through. Marco Rubio, easy. Kristi Noem, easy. Doug Burgum, easy. The only ones that I think the Senate will be skeptical on, the Republican Senate, is Matt Gaetz and RFK. Mm-hmm. Again, Republicans fucking hate Matt Gaetz. Reasonable.
Maybe they hate him for different reasons.
And RFK might be even too crazy for some of the more quote-unquote moderate senators. Yeah. Although I would never sort of gamble on the morality of senators in this context.
They only need 51 to confirm.
Yes.
So it's like... Yes.
And J.D. Vance can break a tie so they need 50.
That's true. Yeah, they need 50 to confirm. So it's like they would need four senators to break.
Yeah. Four whole senators is crazy.
That's a lot, especially when you have, I think Tommy Tuberville, maybe it was Tommy Tuberville or some other just psychopath, was like on some interview and he's like, we need people to just be absolutely loyal for Trump. If the President Trump says to do it, you need to just fall in line and do it. Yeah. That's insane. Well, he said something about like the American people chose Trump, so you need to fucking listen to them. But it's like,
I think I might have heard the same thing. He says some shit like, "This is a mandate from the people. We need to give Trump the people he needs."
But it's like the people also chose representatives individually to go into the Senate and represent them on a more individual level. Yeah. To not let things that they don't fuck with go through, ideally. Mm-hmm. But I get that doesn't really work when they just fall in line.
Yeah, we'll see if that happens. Alternatively, it seems like Trump might be wanting to use the recess appointments method within the Constitution to get his people chosen. This is a method where he can have cabinet picks installed temporarily without a vote of the Senate while Congress is on recess. I don't know how long these temporary appointments last. Eventually, he would have to get a vote from the Senate. But if he could start off with just getting his people in there, maybe they can start doing damage and not have to face the Senate for some period of time. It's unclear if that's going to happen. New Senate Majority Leader John Thune seems interested in doing it. We'll see. Only time will tell. I don't know if I can make a prediction right now.
Interesting. But maybe Tulsi Gabbard and Pete will have enough time to come through and be like, in the room where it happens, be like, guys, look, we brought torture back.
Yeah. Dog, it fucking sucks because like there are some people saying, theorizing that Trump made a sort of like 4D chess move and he chose Matt Gaetz to make the others look less crazy. Yeah. Because like even RFK in comparison seems light compared to fucking Matt Gaetz.
That's true.
You know what I mean? But I don't think that he's doing like a 4D chess move. I don't even think that is a 4D chess move. It's kind of just like a door in the face phenomenon type thing. Regardless, though, he's gonna get people that are fucking insane in there, and it's all gonna be the same narrative regardless. Like they're all gonna do crazy shit.
And it's like, if not Matt Gaetz, then oh no, he just put someone else that is equally as fucking insane but less aesthetically abrasive.
Ken Paxton gets the job.
And arguably Ken Paxton is worse than Matt Gaetz. like when it comes to material like things that he wants to do. Like this guy said he on the book saying he'd defend sodomy laws if they were on the books. I don't, Yeah. So like what are the options? Like that guy or alleged pedophile?
Didn't Ken Paxton also like he was almost removed from his job because of like bribery and corruption charges? Yeah.
The Texas State House Republican majority voted to impeaching? Yeah, I think voted to impeach him.
Indict, and then the Texas Senate didn't impeach him. Yeah,
the Texas Senate months later, after like some political games, decided not to impeach him.
And Texas Senator John Cornyn has come out and said that he like fucking hates Ken Paxton. Yeah, and he's a Republican, of course. So
I think that qualifies him for the AG.
Of course,
I think that qualifies him for the job. I mean, what are we talking about? Like, he's an ardent supporter of Trump as well.
So we'll see where this goes. But that's Trump 2.0 as of right now.
Yeah,
looking good.
I don't know. Maybe this is just a humiliation ritual to get the Matt Gaetz story in front of more eyes. Like maybe Trump doesn't like Matt Gaetz and he wants the American public to know. Even though Trump, I know, is cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, someone needs to leak that document.
Absolutely.
That would be sick.
But I don't know. There's a big history recently of just either documents pertaining to people in power doing nefarious sexual acts with minors not getting leaks, not coming out, or when they do come out, people just don't care.
People literally do not
like
care.
how the week of the election, who leaked that? The Epstein tapes where Epstein's fuck with President Trump like so heavy, we do all these things all the time together. CIA asset, fucking Jeffrey Epstein, and then man,
nobody cared.
Nobody cared at
all. Or all the pictures that Trump has with Epstein, or all the pictures Trump has with P. Diddy. It doesn't matter.
The fucking video. I saw a TikTok the other day of just a compilation of him defending P. Diddy, defending Epstein, and defending Ghislaine Maxwell.
Yeah, exactly. He said he was asked about like all these different things he would declassify, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll declassify it. Yeah, I'll declassify it." Then they get to Epstein stuff, and he's like, "Well, I don't want people to get caught up in that."
Well, there's a lot of good people on those flight logs.
Exactly, because his name is on there. It's ridiculous. Anyways, moving on from Trump 2.0, let's talk about the Democrats.
Oh, Democrat! I forgot about them.
Yeah, they're the other party here. Completely irrelevant now that Republicans have a trifecta in the federal government,
which is insane.
Yeah,
like the first time in forever, right?
Since Trump 2016, that's when they won a trifecta.
That's
as
right.
well.
Yeah.
So not great, not looking great, but the DNC right now is actively looking for a new chair for the party.
Thank God.
It's unclear who it's going to be right now. Various names are being tossed around. But yeah, Jamie Harrison has either resigned from the position or said he's not going to go for it again.
He shouldn't have been allowed to,
which is great because he was a Biden defender till his last breath. Oh yeah,
put us in there.
Put us in there, yeah.
Put us in there, like do a much better job.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot is going to depend on who wins this DNC position, where the direction of the party is going to go. Obviously, some of it depends on like who wins the primary in 2028. But also that's dependent on how the DNC treats progressives versus moderates versus liberals versus conservatives in the Democratic Party. So we'll see where it goes. We'll pay attention as this develops.
I've already seen some wicked theory crafts for the 2028 primary. Man, do not put Newsom up there. I don't care how well he's doing in your internal polls. Clearly they didn't work out. Clearly there's some readjusting you need to do there. But like, please, God, do not put Gavin Newsom there. I genuinely do not want to see anyone who's like from California or just like an establishment Democrat.
Nobody related to the Biden admin.
Nobody related to the Biden admin. I'm sorry, Pete. No. Like, absolutely not. Like, I think that there would be more leeway in 2028 as Biden's retroactive approval goes up, because it literally always does, and as people are more separated from the current inflation crisis and the current economy. But I still think that that's just politically toxic. Yeah. It's got to be a new face from the Midwest. I'm standing on that.
I think I would prefer maybe someone that we haven't really heard of yet.
Yep.
People have obviously Gretchen Whitmer's pretty high up there, like Andy Beshear, or even people are talking about Josh Shapiro. I think that'd be a bad idea, but whatever.
No, God.
I think I might prefer somebody who's a little bit lower down.
Yeah.
Not somebody who's like politically untested, someone with some experience running campaigns, but maybe somebody new, somebody that can reasonably front themselves as anti-establishment. I think that would be a recipe for success.
We said it last week, and I'm going to hold to this until the 2028 primaries. We need a guy who can authentically wear Carhartt. That's it. We need a dude who's authentically up there in the Carhartt Detroit jacket.
Exactly.
And then we're good. We're done. That's the presidency right there.
And not John Fetterman.
Not except for one man.
So I saw some discourse on Twitter that John Fetterman should be the DNC chair.
What the fuck?
There are things that I would say in response to that I cannot say while recording the podcast.
That's crazy.
That is just it's diabolical take, and I can't. That's all I can say.
Who genuinely fucks with Fetterman anymore, other than
Netanyahu,
Zionist to DNC sycophants?
Don't know.
Who? Because it's like Fetterman was cool during that race against Oz because he had these just anti-establishment aesthetics. He did the populism thing, which again, a point towards populism. And then he turned out to be a demon. Yeah, turned out to be kind of awful.
He turned out to be conservative on immigration, conservative on Israel, just bad overall.
Yeah. So that's not great.
Yeah,
please do not put him on the ticket.
He advocated for keeping Biden in.
Oh, he did, didn't
he? Differently from Bernie, though. Bernie did it different.
Differently from Bernie and
different
AOC.
And better. Yeah. My fit better. My bitch is better.
My clothes better. My bitch better. My car better. My whip better. My shoes better.
Yeah. So the DNC's looking for a new chair. We'll keep an eye on that story. I also want to add a note on Kamala Harris losing, because last week, of course, was just our entire episode breaking down election results and why we think we got the result that we did. And some within our audience had asked us about the sort of note that we made within the episode that racism and misogyny were factors, but we thought other things had a bigger influence. And I wanted to sort of clear that up here. So I want to make it clear that obviously with a black woman at the top of the ticket, racism and misogyny played a major role in the election outcome. Because America is inundated with racism. There's racism at the core of this country's founding and basically all of the systems we created on top of that. You can't get away from the fact that this country is racist and that racism is going to play a role in basically every political outcome everywhere in the country.
Yeah.
So I do not want to make it seem like I'm downplaying that. And of course, misogyny exists as well. I don't think it's a coincidence that Donald Trump, the 2 elections he won were against women, and Donald Trump is one of the most brazenly misogynistic people that we have in politics today. I don't think that's a coincidence, and I think that's something to keep in mind. But the reason, at least at the time, that I said that sort of direct misogyny on behalf of voters isn't the biggest factor for the election outcome is just because it's unknowable, right?
Yeah,
like,
we can't quantify to the extent that people voted on that issue. Like, we can somewhat quantify and look at different markers to say that there was a rejection of incumbency.
Yeah.
There's no data that you can really look at. Did it play a part? Yes.
Yeah.
It's just unknowable the extent to which it played a part.
Yeah, like I don't know what voters went to the voting booth and was like, well, I would vote for a Democrat, but not a black woman. And I'm sure there's some people that did that.
Yeah.
Or even if they didn't do it like consciously, they might have subconsciously thought like, well, I'm not going to vote for a black woman because that's just too far beyond the pale. That could be a consideration. My only worry there is that the only conclusion to make then is to just never run a black woman again.
Yeah, I'm scared. I think there's a genuine possibility that our first female president is somehow a Republican.
Yeah.
Like it's somehow like Nikki Haley. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the DNC is going to continue to always learn the wrong lessons. And I guess we'll see who becomes the new chair.
Yeah, because Republicans would be able to sort of cynically run a woman and say that they are not a misogynistic party, while the woman, whoever they end up running, Nikki Haley or whoever, Kari Lake maybe, is just a front for all the same positions that like Trump would run on. So I could definitely see the first woman president being a Republican. That'd be poetic almost.
A horrible reality, though.
Yeah.
Worst timeline type shit right there.
But the reason that's the reason that I initially had felt that direct misogyny or direct racism wasn't something that we could necessarily say was the top factor here. However, I will say, and this is a point that I've seen a lot of people making over the past week or so, that the broader point that the entire GOP's platform is based on racism and misogyny and xenophobia and so on is inseparable from the election outcome.
Yeah.
From their position on immigration to abortion to crime and to every other issue. All of it is so deeply coded in racism and misogyny and all other forms of bigotry that in that sense, you can't say that the election outcome was separate from these different forms of bigotry. You know what I mean?
I see what you mean. Like, maybe you can say like, okay, the reason why Kamala Harris lost, like you can't exactly pin the black woman thing as the sole reason why she lost. But when you look at the GOP's platform in its entirety, it is built on the foundation of racism and sexism.
It's fundamentally anti-black, anti-woman. Yeah, exactly. In that sense, the outcome of the election is intimately tied with the fact that this country is fundamentally racist and misogynistic.
Alternatively, there's just a generally racist vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. And like, again, Biden's internal polling was worse than the outcome that Harris got. It looked like Biden was going to lose with Trump getting like 400 electoral votes or something like that, maybe more.
Crazy.
But the structural critique of the parties here is that the GOP fundamentally embodies racism and misogyny. And to that end, of course, that helps determine the election outcome.
Man, what a stinker.
Yeah.
What a stinker.
Pretty rough. So I wanted to clarify because some people were asking. So there's that if you were looking for it.
Had to, and
I think that wraps it up there.
Just because the election happened and the worst outcome manifested doesn't mean that we have forgot our roots as the number one geopolitical podcast. And that's not just the number one geopolitical podcast out of Michigan. That's not the number one podcast out of the Midwest. That's not the number one geopolitical podcast out of the country. This is the number one geopolitical podcast. We have not forgot those roots.
Now,
folks.
in the past, and forever. Number one geopolitical podcast ever created.
Yes.
And ever will be created.
Yes,
right
the GOAT, if you will.
The only geopolitical podcast.
I don't know where else you're tuning in. Pod Save the World? Never heard of him.
Yeah.
Never heard of him.
Pod has not saved the world.
It clearly has not.
The founding thesis of the show.
The fucking hubris.
Exactly.
You believe me, the hubris. Oh my God, I can't stand it. But either way, I digress.
Yeah.
today I have an update on the situation in Gaza, specifically pertaining to the letter we sent Israel about a month ago. Do you remember that letter?
Yeah, it was in 30 days we're going to cut off arms shipments unless the humanitarian situation increases. And I yelled at the time about that not being before the fucking election.
Yep. Essentially, it was a feckless attempt at just assuaging people's feelings that we as a country were doing nothing to stop Israel from doing the worst things possible in their onslaught in Gaza. And specifically, like you said, we gave them 30 days to, quote, improve the humanitarian situation, or the U.S. will cut off, not all, but some arms.
Sure.
Some arms, because there would be violations of, like, U.S. law.
As if there hasn't already been, sure.
Exactly. And so that deadline passed this week, and all we got was a press conference where where a person, a State Department spokesperson, Vedant Patel, said, quote, "We've seen some progress being made. We would like to see more changes happen."
We didn't even get Matthew Miller?
We didn't give it Matthew Miller. That's what I'm saying. They sent some new guy out there.
Oh, my fucking...
Like, what do you mean? What the fuck do you mean? We've seen some progress happen. We want some more progress to happen. We're giving them bombs. We're going to give them more bombs.
So everyone knew it was a fluke. Yeah. Or not even a fluke. It was just, it wasn't real.
Yeah. A feckless attempt to just get activists to shut the fuck up about Gaza. Yep. That's all that was, right? Yeah. And then a State Department statement was also released that, according to CBS, said, quote, "It had assessed that Israel was not breaching U.S. laws on blocking aid supplies into Gaza, and that Israel had taken steps to address U.S. demands, so there would be no change in the ongoing provision of American weapons to Israel. To my knowledge, personally, as, you know, one of the co-hosts of the #1 geopolitical podcast, the details of how the aid situation improved are not publicly available. So that's pretty interesting.
Well, they never are.
They never are. Yeah. I can't go in and dive in to see if, like, I don't know, more aid trucks are coming in. Yeah. But what I can look at is information from the United Nations and various humanitarian organizations. And that information stands in stark contrast to what the State Department is telling us, right? From UN and various aid associations, they've been saying, again, according to CBS, 8 international aid groups have jointly rebuked Israel for not meeting the standards Biden's letter laid out, and even accused Israel of making the situation worse, particularly in the besieged northern Gaza. The UN also released a report claiming that famine is once again imminent in Gaza. Of course. And even the little aid that does make it in has a hard time actually going where it needs to go because of the genuine just breakdown in public order in the Strip. Yeah. Which makes sense when it's being bombed to all hell and 43,000 people have been killed.
Yeah, and you can't leave, right?
There's
no escaping. You can't go anywhere. So, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
So
it's a war zone.
The UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs is saying that their capacity to respond to the crisis is being explicitly undermined by Israel. And after Israel was warned by us that they need to make the aid situation better, they thought that it would be a good idea to start pushing efforts within their parliament to ban UNRWA from operating in Gaza starting January.
Oh, completely ban.
Just ban it.
Because before they were just cut off because of the accusation that like 12 of the 3,000 people that work for the group were Hamas.
Yeah, nope.
And now they're just completely banned, never access again.
By UNRWA.
Nice.
So
great. Cool.
That's good.
Yeah.
Pretty bad stuff all around. How is it so hard to just get decent moral people in a positions of power?
God, this is rough. Israel really is. The thing that resonates the most with me over this past year that we've been covering this, more than a year at this point, is this thought that Israel is a colonial project out of time, right? Like this kind of displacement and genocide is not what Western countries do anymore. We used to. I mean, America was founded doing the exact same thing that Israel is doing right now. But now that everyone has cameras and now that we've moved towards a sort of world order governed by rules and trade and all these different various international organizations, this is not how colonialism's done anymore. It's much more done through like economic neo-imperialism. And now when Israel does it, everyone backlashes against it because this isn't how we do shit anymore.
Everyone except us. Yeah. Importantly, especially everyone except the new people that are coming into power.
Yeah. And of course, Israel is a sort of like military asset at this point, or they really always have been, so that's also a consideration. But Israel is just they're upset they don't get to do their colonial genocide in the same way every other Western nation did,
which is crazy because like they are getting to do it.
Yeah, well, they are
getting to
but
do it,
but they're mad that people are trying to stop them from doing it. That's true. Some people are lightly.
What do you mean you guys did this too?
Yeah, well, and that's the reasoning, right?
It's my turn.
It's like other countries did it and we didn't get to. It's not fair.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
Can't wait to see how Can't wait to see how our guy Pete deals with this.
Pete Hegseth, yeah.
Pete Hegseth, that's going to be good. Can't wait to see how Marco Rubio deals with this.
Marco Rubio especially,
because it's like, what, now Marco Rubio gets Blinken's fake job?
Mm-hmm. Marco Rubio gets to vacation in Cairo.
Exactly. He gets to go vacation in Egypt, vacation in Israel, talk to Netanyahu.
Yeah, he'll probably just be in Israel hanging out.
Literally.
Because he doesn't have to pretend that he's actually trying.
Yeah.
Not that Blinken really put much effort into that.
This is very true. And it's interesting because it's like Qatar just came out and said that they're getting out of the ceasefire talks because they're like, nobody's serious about this. So it's like, okay, well, I don't see that getting much better. Man, I don't see that getting much better unless Netanyahu disingenuously ends the war, like he's said some quotes talking about. But it's like, as a principled analyzer, I understand that Netanyahu ending the war under a Trump administration is to, one, make Trump look good. Because people over there fuck with Trump harder than people over here. Crazy. Because Trump lets them do whatever they want. And whatever they want would be allowing them to continue with whatever they want to do in Gaza in more insidious ways, more just banal ways in the background than all-out wars and bombing campaigns. That's what they can get away with under Biden. What they couldn't get away with under Biden is, like, I don't know, maybe reoccupying Gaza. Maybe turning Gaza into fucking real estate like Trump has suggested.
That shit's crazy. Like, beachfront property,
Trump has said that Gaza could be the most beautiful place in the world. It's got beautiful beachfront property. Brother, people live there.
Yeah. People live there. Yeah. It's looking bad.
And I don't think a Hilton would make it look any better. You know?
Maybe a new Mar-a-Lago could expand.
True.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
It's unfortunately not looking good, and it's gonna get worse.
Yeah.
So bad news on the geopolitical front. Usually not anything good.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. That's what we're here to tell you about.
Anyways, I think that brings us to the end of our episode here.
I do.
We hope you all are locked in for the future.
Yep.
Because, boy, what a future it's going to be.
It's going to be a long 4 years. I can tell you that.
It's going to be a tough 4 years, but as we said last episode, at least the liberals will pretend to be on our side for a little while.
Yep.
That'll at least feel good, even though it won't materialize in a progressive candidate in 2028.
Yeah, I can't wait to see the 2028 primaries. People start coming out like, Trump put kids in cages.
Yeah.
And we want to do the same thing, but less.
Yeah. Well, except this time around, we won't have to say kids in cages. It'll be internment camps.
That's true. And then they can counter once again with facilities. We want to put them in containment.
Well, yeah, they're going to be called like overflow facilities.
That's the
word. Waiting cells or whatever. Or they might just do away with due process entirely and just, load them up by the truckload.
True.
Sort of, you know what? It's not going to be good.
We'll figure it out.
It's not going to be good, folks.
We'll watch as it happens.
So lock in, and as we said last week, keep your mouth shut. Don't report on your neighbors.
Real as hell.
It's only November. We got a few months before Trump takes office, but be a good neighbor.
Got a few months to get y'all to fall in line.
Yeah, don't tattle on anybody. You know what I'm saying? And speaking of the people I trust the most to not tattle, it's our patrons.
It's our
the funders of the show.
Beautiful, wonderful patrons that get the news when it happens.
The people that fund the condemnations of Hamas.
God, we could not condemn Hamas without them.
We couldn't.
That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't have the platform to do it.
They're our UNRWA. Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Not banned in my book. Not ever. Whatsoever. Special thanks to Caden Kraut, Lord Tyler Radiant, Chris the Postman, Chrissy Beck, Dylan B., Andrew Harris, Mike Chaplinsky, Omar Zuno, Clayton LaFed, Mark Yeager, Caleb Joy, Rich Toro, Tari, Gavin Meyer Maldonado, Hunter W., Fergalaki, Max Vesquez, Jacob Routers, Colton Mooberry, Fixer Punk, Jim Egbers, Jeff Muzzy, Big Burrito, Cincy Alex, Joe Stenstrom, Adrian Sandoval, Chloe Sam 601, Colleen Cutsfer, Yook, Jennifer DeVoe, Big Bird Titty, Cross Fishin, Bennett Bennington III, Alexia Benanti, Nietzsche, Big Booty Beatdown, Sam Maloney, Two-Headed Boy, Ben Shapiro's boyfriend, Ted Cruz's boy Toy, Dictator Jace, Luke O'Shea, Cocker Tarlson, Danielle Jackson, The Word of Microsoft, Jennifer Sines, Aaron and his Gundam Gundams, Darth Father, Tailored for Content, Corey Chambers, L.E.N., Devin Hatchard, Retro Mondo, Emma the Dude Slayer, Veronica, aka V, Raxon, Ass Smith, The Grotler, Flower Clown, Beetlebugs, Murder in a Trench Coat, Lonnie Rogers, Slavic and Sapphic, Casey Lynn Kelly, Snake Eyes, and Hope of Giants, AK Gon, Aquana Don,
Zach Lantian, Info Russell, Austin Greif, Marcus Corbett, Caleb Roper, Taylor Rensock, Cammy, Tylen Freeman, Steak Daddy, Tay Tay, Isaac Hodges, Madeline C, Kayla Lowe, Anna Valinick, Casey C, Say Yes to Wes, August, Particular Pikmin, Sir Capalot, Jeff Sines, Howard the Duck, Brennan is Egg, JR, Drew Batchilder, Froggy Gumdrop, Jackie Boy, Shameless, Coherent Babbles, Sasha, MJ is Sharp, Michaela Muncie, The Wallace 3000, Jared Finch, Tactical Snowflake, Son of Ander, Vanilla Bryce, Chris T, Kishan Lala, Amanda R, Hanky Panky, Tyler J, Day Damian Blues, Ashley White, Lalo Valesco, Particulon, Memfrez, Gorgeous Girl Mukes, Lauren, Uncrasmatic Boar, Sasquatch, Rhonda Stiletto, Midwest Marxist, Joe the Mailman, Gary from West Michigan, Shawnee GG, Juniper Not Jupiter, Stacked Crabs, I Crowley, Urban Peach, Lord of Forlorn, Holt Forsyth, Kevin Kasaya, Schnoodle, Booty Snakes, Erica, Krusty Crab, Do Fairy, Chelceratops, Austin Lima, Lane Waltz, Azim Fitta Hussein, Brooklyn G, Noverk the Dastardly, Goldthorn, Eddie Book, Merlin, John from Houston, Moss, Anaya, INC, Headass McDeadass, That Art Dork, Sergeant Pookie, Connor Nix, Jordan T, Hoodie, and my mom. Thank you all so much for supporting the show on Patreon. If you want your name on the list, you know where to go. Link is in the description.
Yes.
And before we leave this episode, I can happily announce the Lions are winning again.
They're winning again?
Yeah, it's actually ridiculous. I knew they were going to beat the Jags, but it's 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter. 52-6.
Man, they love running up the score. That's crazy.
They just beat the brakes off of every team they get the chance to. We had a close win last week, literally.
Which is crazy.
Incredibly close
fucking,
win.
What, Texans?
Yeah.
Nuts.
Yeah, kissed both of the goalposts to win the fucking game.
And they said, we're not letting it get that close again.
The Jags only like 2-8, you know what I'm saying? But 6 to 52. You didn't have to do that to them.
Like, rest your guys, brother.
Not taking the starters out. Not taking the starters out. That's crazy.
I bet they did it with trick plays, too.
Anyways, Lions on top once again, and hit 0-2.
You know, after Mike Tyson lost, after Kabla lost, Jared Goff is my last hope.
Jared Goff, save us.
Please, Jared Goff.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Have a great week.